This is a really interesting statistic, one that I didn't know and blows my mind a lot of times. Well, not a lot of times, it does blow my mind. And I think back on the times that I was applying for things, whether it's internships or, you know, whether job applications, and I did this, and I didn't think I fell into the statistics. So when a guy is applying for a job, if he fills out like 50 to 60% of those qualifications that he reads in those bullet points, he's good, he's done. He's totally applying for that job. The woman needs 110% of them. If there is one, sorry, I do not know how to code, I'm done. Well, that's gonna be an important one. That was but like, so 1 year of experience, it's like I have 4 years of experience, it wants 5. Sorry, can't apply, can't do it. You can. A guy would do it. And the research shows that, yeah, he would. And he would slice bread and say that it's the best frickin' sliced bread that has ever existed on the face of humanity. That's what a guy would do. And so it's really finding a way to know, once you kind of know that statistic, it's awareness, right? That be confident and know that you can apply for those jobs too. You don't have to have 100% of the qualifications. It's really about creating a story of yourself. And it goes back to what we were talking about, that first C of truly just confidence. So how many of you have read a job posting or internship posting or whatever it is and said, like, cut yourself out because you didn't have one qualification? Yeah, me too. For a long time, until I found out about this stat. Where do you think that comes from? Why? Like, what are the things you're telling yourselves when that happens?
Isn't it that you want to like portray yourself like honestly? Like if that's what you're asking for and you feel like you don't have all of those, like you're being not like fraudulent to like say that you did, but like
yeah, an integrity thing. Yeah. I can see that. Anybody else? Yeah.
Well, it just seems like somebody with 100% is gonna also put in it. Especially like being here. Like, I know there are people that are better than me in lots of areas, so they're probably gonna apply to.
Yeah. So there's obviously going to be somebody that's better than you. Any other reasons? Yeah.
We hate being shocked.
Yeah. Nobody likes rejection. It doesn't feel good, right? Any other ideas? Anything else you've experienced? They're all true. We don't like rejection. We don't like being shot down. There's going to be somebody better than us. We don't want to be put in a position where we feel like we didn't tell the truth or that we didn't like spin our skills. So we tell this story about our friend named Drew. Drew is like the guy we take around the world, the story of Drew. He's a friend of mine, he's a friend of Amanda's, and Amanda being our co-founder. And we were at a barbecue with Gina Bianchini. Gina is one of the leading venture capitalists in Silicon Valley. She's amazing. She founded Ning, she founded Mighty Bell, which all of you are going to get a follow-up about our local Levo Houston Mighty Bell. Side note. So we were at this barbecue and we were talking about why we don't apply for things when the guy only has to have barely over half of them to submit. And Drew started telling us about this job search that he was going through. And he's in business development, but only a couple years out of college. But he was applying for positions as like head of business development for massive marketing firms that he had no business even applying for, much less probably looking at the job application. Like, was not qualified in the slightest. But he didn't care. He applied for all of them, and he took it a step further. He went to his references, and he said, hey dude, look, I'm applying for this really big job that I'm not qualified for. You're probably going to get a reference call. Kill it for me. Like, not that I'm lying, but like, just, you know, play me up. And it's fine. I got this. And he did that with all of his references. And we asked him, we're like, weren't you scared that you were going to get the job and people would find out that you're a fraud? And he was like, no, I'm sure I would have figured it out. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a way of thinking about it. He was like, plus, if they tell me no, who cares? Every no that I get is just one step closer to a yes. Ta-da! That's how confident men think. And it's the way that we can think too. And we love that story about Drew because it's really just, it's kind of like a little baby anecdote of where that statistic comes from. Yeah?
Did he get the job?
No. No. Does he care? No, because like he said, it was one step closer to the job that he's doing now, which he's killing. And so yeah, it's perfectly, no, didn't get it at all. And that's fine with him because that rejection, he didn't take it personal. Whatever. He wasn't qualified. He wasn't scared of being found out. He just did it and rolled with it and then told us all about it at the barbecue. He was really proud of himself. It was kind of cute. So this insecurity, this lack of confidence that keeps you from even getting through the net, it's gonna have an impact on your career in certain ways. And I'm sure if you've ever dealt with like a little bit of lull of confidence, I think as I want to say, as women we all have, as people we all have, it's normal. I'm insecure up here being like, I'm sweating, I'm super hot and I'm sweating. Who's looking at me? All of you. But it's a conversation of why will it hold you back? Any thoughts on that? Of really where you start to get held back in your career and in this job search and in life after college if you can't just kind of bring it together, yeah.
When you're looking to move up a level in a business.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a level up in a business and it's taking that first step out of college, right? I think that might be your first level of, okay, how do I enter this insanely crazy professional world? When all I've had is school, or maybe you're an athlete, or you're in Panhandle, or you're hyper involved and haven't had time for a ton of work experience because you've been so busy being involved in other places. How, like, they're not gonna want me, I haven't had a ton of work experience, or I was just this, or I was just that, and it's really finding a way to flip that conversation. Has anybody seen insecurities in their own lives or in their own internships or job applications where you could have done better, or a lack of confidence kind of held you back? I see heads nodding. Does anyone want to tell me about it? Or share with anyone? Places of that insecurity, yeah?
Oh, okay, well, my grades are not as good as everyone else in my class, but I also work 2 jobs and I lead a club sport.
Awesome.
And so whenever I'm applying to things or interviewing, I was kind of like mentioned more like how I'm like president of water polo and I've played all these years and like I'm trying to make the club better instead of focusing on my like lower grades because.
But you hold that in the back of your head, the lower grades.
Like they want people, or at least I tell myself that they want people that are more well-rounded than just grades.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it's a good thing to tell yourself because we're all gonna have that place of lack. If it wasn't that for you, it's going to be something for someone else in some other realm. And I appreciate you sharing that. I think it's a really good reflection of what I think we all deal with to some degree, especially when we're trying to figure out what we want to do after college. How many of you kind of feel confused about what's supposed to happen after you graduate? Yeah. I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing with you because I did too. And I can tell you that even if you have your job lined up and everything seems like it's going right, you kind of get into it and you wonder what you're supposed to be doing, if this is what you're supposed to be doing, and how you navigate co-working relationships, and it's going to be fine. It really is. It's going to be good. It's going to be great. It's like one of the most interesting times of your life. But there's ways that you can prepare for it now, and I think identifying that insecurity and identifying the things that are kind of holding you back right now are really going to help propel you. You're going to get one step further earlier down the road than having to figure this out as you go, like I did. And then I'm interested to hear, do any of you guys have tools for being more confident? What was your name?
Meg.
Meg. Meg shared that she flips the story right. She tells herself that perhaps, to make up for lower grades than someone else might have, they want someone that's really well-rounded. Do you guys have any tricks for how you personally are more confident in that process? Yeah.
I guess my thing is that I just look, I don't wait for there to be like certain jobs or certain internships offered. I just go, I really like your, mission statement.
Yeah.
Come here. Look for whoever the contact for employment or stuff back that says, yes, that I'm not the person, contact this. I've gotten stuff back saying I can't give you anything, but have you looked at this internship that we offer? So it's just kind of, there's no huge rejection, and I don't have any set of skills that I'm looking at, oh, well, you don't want me because I haven't taken that class yet.
What is your name?
Molly?
Molly. I couldn't have planted you if I tried right there. Thank you for sharing that. And it reminds me of a piece of advice that my dad told me. And all of these stories, all of those amazing things that you just rattled off, that you do to get a hold of somebody, in a couple slides, Molly, I'm going to call on you, and I want you to help me talk through some of this, because that's the cold email, the cold call, it's that getting uncomfortable. Comfortable with being uncomfortable, but the piece of advice that my dad told me was a real game changer for me personally, and all of you are going to have that for yourself. And it won't necessarily be mine, and it won't be Molly's, but it'll be one that you kind of experience for you. But for me, it was when my dad told me, "What's the worst they can say, Max? No." And once I got over that hump of no, it was fine. Like, that's totally fine. They can tell me no, I can reach out. There have been a couple instances where that no brought me to my knees because I wanted it that bad. And you'll all have that. You'll have that heartbreak of a job. I know, I'm talking about heartbreak with profession. Sorry. But I'm a little too career-oriented for my own good, and there's just those moments where the no is a very big deal, but most of the time, a no is just a no. It's like what Drew said. A no is just going to be one step closer to a yes for you. And it was just the piece that kind of got me to be a little bit more confident with rejection. Anybody have tools for rejection, for confidence, for knowing that you are the right person for that job, you are the right girl, the right candidate? Yeah.
Well, like going along the same lines, if you reach out for a company, make sure you research them and you know what they stand for.
Absolutely.
What you actually want. I guess like know that, but also know yourself, know what you're looking for as well. So
absolutely.
when you reach out to them, you can, what you want in an employer as well as what they want.
Mm-hmm. It's preparation equals confidence, right? Like when you know that you've practiced, when you know that you've prepared, when you know that you've prepped, you're a little bit more confident, and that plays into the job search too. We have a lot of really great articles on our site about how to prepare, the things that you should know about companies when you're applying. And also, knowing about yourself. One of my favorite things that was ever given to me and that I now give to other people is taking your strengths finder. There's a book called Now Discover Your Strengths, and there are a lot of strength tests online, and probably your career center will probably offer a lot of these if I could guess. And what it does is you go through the tests, right? Those are always super fun because they're not for a grade. And they really tell you what you're amazing at. So for me, my top strength is that I'm a woo. Woo means winning others over. So I can go into a room and I can connect with you really well, and it's why I'm the community manager, because I love nothing more than to connect with people that I don't know. And I could probably talk to a wall if you still let me stand there long enough. However, every strength has its shadow. So versus having to come up with that crap of like, what are your weaknesses? And everybody says I'm a perfectionist, which, means that sometimes I get too caught up on the detail, like the same thing that every recruiter and every hiring manager has ever heard. Versus being able to take your strengths, know the shadow, and how to communicate that. It really helps being able to tell a story about yourself, and a really kind of insightful one that helps employers, anyone who's hiring you, anyone that you're looking for help from, understand you a little bit more. So I can, if anybody wants to know about those after, I'm completely happy to share them with you, because I think they're super helpful.